up on this edition of High School Sports Weekly, brought to you by OS1 Sports Injury Clinic.
We're going to have a chance to introduce you to Scott Ware. He's the boys basketball coach at Hoover High School, and you'll also meet some of his players.
I got a chance to catch up with Tuscaloosa County High School's bass fishing team.
And also a legend in Buddy Anderson, now retiring as head football coach at Vestavia High School.
All that and more coming up on High School Sports Weekly.
OS1 Sports Injury Clinic in Hoover is a proud partner of High School Sports Weekly. OS1 has fellowship-trained sports medicine physicians right here in your community. There's no appointment needed. Just drive up to the door. They've got X-ray and MRI on site. So now, being injured or having an orthopedic issue doesn't mean you need to be exposed to sick people. Avoid the hassle and time of going to an ER when you can get more specialized care in a more timely fashion at OS1. Open 7 days a week to serve you. It's OS1 Sports Injury Clinic, and find them online at bettersooner.com. Welcome back to our show, everybody. I'm Chris Stewart along with Susan Carruthers. Basketball now in the spotlight, and we'll be talking about girls basketball a little bit more next time on our show, but this week spending some time talking about boys basketball.
Yeah, a lot of our teams doing really well getting started this season.
And it's so tough this time of year because many of them continue on to the playoffs. You have some kids that play both sports.
That's right.
Also, COVID has obviously taken a major toll. In fact, when you look at rankings or standings around our state, you've got some teams that have played a dozen games or more. You've got some that have only played one or two. It's very odd to have that much of a disparity this time of the season, but everybody's just trying to get games in.
That's right. Hard to tell at this point, but a lot more to go in the season, and I'm sure things will shake out as we continue.
One thing we know is that the Hoover Bucs are pretty good. Coach Scott Ware is in his first year as the head coach of that program. They've had a couple of key victories, most recently knocking off Coleman High School after trailing at halftime. They've handed previously unbeaten Vestavia Hills their only loss as well. And our own Jerry Young had a chance to visit earlier in the season with Coach Ware and some of the Buccaneers.
DJ is a leader, someone who's outgoing, someone who likes to prove people wrong, likes to do what others say I can't.
I'm a compassionate, hardworking. I like to think of myself as a leader. I like to help others, and I like to play basketball.
I'm a leader. I'm hardworking. I like to put others first. I like to make sure everybody has what they want before me, and I'm just a good person.
Chip is someone that cares about others. I always want to help somebody, always looking out for people. I try to lead as much as I can. Not as vocal, but I try.
Yeah, I'm very competitive, self-motivated. I've always been very compassionate about whatever group of people I'm working with. I think everyone has potential, and I've always been a guy that's going to push those people to try to reach their peak potential.
As a senior, I expect us just to go out and play as hard as we can. Just do what we do, what we've been practicing, work hard, everything.
Our goal has just been to work hard every day. Coach has pushed us to give effort, full effort, stay focused mentally, and everything else will take care of itself. Our goals will come.
I just want them to work as hard as they can work every day. The easy thing to do is to say we want to win a state championship. Well, in my opinion, if you set that as your goal and you don't attain that, you feel like you failed. So I've always tried to push my teams we want to be the best version of us that we can be every day, be the best version of this team. And with this team that we currently have, if we do that, then we can win a state championship. But that's the thing that we try to push them every day, to be the best version of us that we can be. I think we've got a lot of potential on this team. We've got, as you can tell, you've interviewed 4 great seniors here, and they've probably done a better job than I'm doing right now in this interview. But I rely on those guys a lot. We got 3 other seniors as well, and some good younger guys. But to really answer your question, we try to push them to reach their potential and be the best version of us that we can be every day.
Well, Coach tells us every day we got to do our best every day, even on the days leading up right now in the preseason when we're conditioning and working out. But the team, we have one of the toughest areas in the state, but I think if we listen to Coach and guys can get it going, then we got a chance to be successful.
Yes, sir, we have. We've been together. Well, most of the seniors have been together at least 3 years, and we're just looking to win state this year.
Well, so my knee surgery I had in October. It's a 6-month recovery, so I was released the week before everything was shut down. So it made it tough to get in the gym, get in the weight room. And then at the start of summer, got a chance and got back into it heavy. So
it's affected a lot. I've had to change, like school. We only go twice a week now. We have to wear masks wherever we go, sanitize.
It's made everything harder. I can't go out and practice or just get better. I have to stay home and do stuff at the house. It's harder for me to go, and it actually hurt the recruiting process for me because I had to lean on AAU to get recruited by coaches.
Really, just trying to practice for basketball has been kind of hard. I've been trying to find open gyms and stuff, get shots up, stuff like that. But I just really been doing a lot of stuff at home, just making sure my craft is good.
As far as at home, it was kind of, we're kind of a family, like I said, like everyone else is nowadays, is on the go. And I thought it was a positive as far as keeping us home together, spending time together with especially teenagers that normally don't want to be around you. So I think that was a positive. As a coaching staff here, we looked at it as a positive because it's made us pay attention to a few more details. Even with the players, we have to clean the balls after practice. We have things we have to do, and they have to have a mask. And I think it's kind of pulled everybody together a little more, which is kind of the common theme that since I took this job, we wanted to try to be more of a family and more together. So I've tried to approach it as a positive.
Adversity, we have a lot of people that doubt us and say that we're not going to be as good as we would hope so. But we know that the hard work that we put in this preseason, and we know that we'll be able to prove anybody wrong that says that we can't.
I say diverse. Our team, we have a bunch of different personalities, but we come together and we play as a team.
Well, I'm going to go back to that word together. I think for us to reach our potential, we're going to have to be together. We're going to have to pull where we can't have different factions. We're going to have to do everything as one. And so I would say together. Well, we want to play fast. That's the game today. And we want to get it out, and we want to push the ball. And I think it's way easier on you if you can score before the other team gets their defense set. So that's the first thing we're looking for every time offensively. If they're back and we don't have that, then we want to make them work, and we want to shoot the shot that we want to shoot. We don't want them to dictate to us. We want to dictate the shot that we want to shoot. And then on the other end of the floor, we're going to be tough. We're going to be hard-nosed, and we're going to try to make it tough on you to try to get to the rim, and we want to try to force you to shoot shots with a hand in your face. I would hope that the guys enjoy playing that style, and I think they do. One of the things that I've always tried to say is let's play hard, let's play smart, and let's have fun.
OS1 Sports Injury Clinic in Hoover is a proud partner of High School Sports Weekly. OS1 has fellowship-trained sports medicine physicians right here in your community. There's no appointment needed. Just drive up to the door. We've got X-ray and MRI on site. So now, being injured or having an orthopedic issue doesn't mean you need to be exposed to sick people. Avoid the hassle and time of going to an ER when you can get more specialized care in a more timely fashion at OS1. Open 7 days a week to serve you. It's OS1 Sports Injury Clinic. You can find them online at bettersooner.com. We love telling stories on our program, and ordinarily we talk about what's considered virtually the major sports. You know, you've got football. Everybody talks that, knows that. We're glad to do it. Basketball, baseball. We love telling fishing stories on our program, literally.
Absolutely. I got a chance to catch up with the Tuscaloosa County high school bass fishing team. Fascinating experience. I didn't know a lot about the sport. It's governed differently. They have sponsorships, but these guys are really serious about fishing. Okay, guys, thank you so much for being here with us today. Let's start out by each of you tell me how you were first exposed to fishing.
You can go. Okay, so, well, my dad fished a lot when he was my age. And once I got about 7, he started going out a lot, fishing.
And my dad, I grew up fishing with him, and we moved to a house with a pond behind our house, and I started catching some bluegill and stuff, and then got into bass fishing, and I started fishing every day. So.
Yeah, my dad, when I was young, really young, before I could even remember really, he'd just take me out on the boat. He'd drag me even if I didn't want to go, and I got to where I just loved going.
My grandfather crappie fished, so I went with him a lot. And my brother Preston, he was on the fishing team. He ended up bass fishing. He took me a couple times, and I just loved it, so I've been fishing ever since.
Okay, well, a lot of people don't know about high school bass fishing teams and how the competitions are structured. I understand that you have 12 teams, so tell me a little bit about how the competitions and the teams are structured.
Usually there's there's like local tournaments, and then there's bigger tournaments. The bigger tournaments can have up to like 300 boats, and so you're competing against, it's you and your partner against 3 other people with their partners. And then you have your school as a whole who has 6-man teams who can, like if you all 3 do good, then you can win 6-man team, which is also a good accomplishment. And then the local tournaments are like around 100 boats, and they're like just kind of like more for fun, in my opinion, but they also give good money and stuff. So
how many tournaments would there be in a typical season?
I'd say like, what, 15?
It depends on which trails you fish, what your school associates with, stuff like that.
Okay, so maybe different for different schools. Okay, so you can actually win money?
You can. Scholarship money.
Scholarship money. Okay, great. Have you guys won some scholarship money?
Yes.
I guess we have too.
I don't really know.
Not yet. Well, tell me about what kinds of technology you can use and what kinds of technology maybe you can't use.
Well, so a lot of boats, you have your graphs that you find your fish with, or see structure on the bottom. You can have, just trolling motors help you out going everywhere.
Yeah, and as far as what you can't use, there's not really much you can't use, but like you're not allowed to use live bait. Your captain can't fish. You have to run the trolling motor. But as far as like what you can use, I guess anything that you can use to your advantage that's not like cheating or anything. You can't use a guide. Like you have to find your own fish. So.
Does the equipment, the boat, everything belong to the school, or is it stuff that you guys own personally?
We own it.
We own it personally.
Okay, I understand that you guys recently won the Alabama Bass Nation Regional at Lake Wheeler. Tell me how that feels.
Out of 190 boats, we won. So we're just really blessed to win. We're going to keep on going and see what we can do and win the other tournaments and stuff.
Good. So what tournaments are coming up next? What's next for your team?
We're kind of in off season right now. We have one in February, and then March we have one almost every weekend. So.
Do you guys compete outside of school, or do you mainly focus all your competition on your school team?
Me and my dad will fish in some tournaments together, but other than that, it's just school.
Yeah.
It'll be a lot of fun stuff. Some weekends will be off, and something will come up at a local lake or something, and we'll just decide to go down there just to have some fun on the weekend.
How do you guys plan to continue fishing competitively? Do you plan to continue fishing competitively after high school?
I definitely do. I plan on going to UA, and they have a pretty good fishing team. All of the Alabama, like UNA, Auburn, they all have good fishing teams. And I'll probably go into collegiate bass fishing and see what we can do. And they also give scholarships, so maybe I can get one of those.
Since I'm a senior, I'm gonna try and get a welding, CTE, or civil engineering degree. So I'm gonna try and go to that.
You plan to still fish though?
I'm gonna try to, as much as possible.
It's still pretty early. I'm only in 9th grade, so I guess it just depends on how it plays out for the next couple of years. If I get scholarships, if it's somewhere I want to go that doesn't have a fishing team, then I guess that's just how it is.
Yeah, it's the same way what he said. I mean, I'm only in 9th grade. I don't know how it's going to go after I graduate. So we'll just see how it turns out.
But you all love to fish, so it's something you can do the rest of your life.
Yes, ma'am.
I see all these sponsors all over your jerseys. Tell me a little bit about what that's about. How does that work?
Sponsors definitely a lot more than some other things help support the team, and sometimes even the boats, the equipment, stuff like that. Scholarships a lot. Just guys that want to be out there because they know that the team can do something good.
Yeah, they pay for like hotels, gas for the boat, gas for the truck. Also, we get like I think usually $100 to like for food and stuff. So like sponsors, like fishing is one of the most expensive sports. So without sponsors, it's really not possible unless you're loaded. So.
Tell me what's your favorite thing about fishing?
Honestly, like as soon as blast off hits and you're going 75 down the lake, there's just something about that feeling that you can't beat it. It's awesome. Your adrenaline's pumping.
I mean, going out there and not knowing what to expect, it's probably one of the best feelings.
I like just being able to compete with other schools, but also being able to compete with the guys in our own team too.
I mean, I just like, again, what he said, whenever you take off, you just got that rush of excitement, and you never know what to expect. You could come back winning, you could come back not catching a fish, just about your good days that you have.
Well, thank you so much. Good luck with future seasons and with fishing in general.
Nice job. Did you learn a lot?
I sure did. Super interesting. I think I'm about ready to go get a bass boat and be out there with those guys in the spring.
I bet we can find somebody to sell you one. No problem at all. Coming back, we'll talk with a guy who's got a lot of time to fish or do whatever he wants to do. Coming up very soon. He is retiring after an incredible Hall of Fame career as the head coach at Vestavia Hills. We're talking with Buddy Anderson next. OS1 Sports Injury Clinic in Hoover is a proud partner of High School Sports Weekly. OS1 has fellowship-trained sports medicine physicians right here in your community. There's no appointment needed. Just drive up to the door. They've got X-ray and MRI on site. So now, being injured or having an orthopedic issue doesn't mean you need to be exposed to sick people. Avoid the hassle and time of going to an ER when you can get more specialized care in a more timely fashion at OS1. Open 7 days a week to serve you. It's OS1 Sports Injury Clinic, and find them online at bettersooner.com.
Hey everybody, my name's Rachel Brown and I'm here with Coach Mike Smith. And something that we get a lot from parents and athletes is this college coach was at my game, or this school was at my game. And just because those college coaches or schools are at your game doesn't necessarily mean that they're recruiting you. I know, Coach Mike, you have a little bit of experience in this category, from the NAIA level all the way to Power 5 Division I. When you went to showcases, were you going with a list of athletes to watch, or were you just going in hopes of finding somebody?
Well, that's a really good question, and sometimes there's really a misnomer. College coaches are going to tournaments when they have names on their clipboard. They've got a top 10 list that they're going to watch. They've already have their schedules when they're going out there. And most of the time, if there's not a player on that list, those coaches are probably not watching. I'll tell you, in 21 years of coaching college softball, I recruited one player without being on that list. So it does happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So in other words, unless you're already talking to that college coach or been identified by that college coach, if you see them at the game, they're probably not there for you. So the first thing you have to do is get identified, and we can help you through that process.
43 years is a long time. It's almost unheard of in a coaching profession for a career, let alone at one place as a head coach. But when you win as much as Buddy Anderson did, and the way that Buddy Anderson won, yeah, they'll let you stick around as long as you want. They'll even name the field after you. Our own Susan Carruthers had a chance to sit down and visit not only with Buddy Anderson, but also his wife, Linda.
Well, for both of you, this has never just been a job. I know that I read a couple of articles that you both felt called to this, even at separate points. So tell me a little bit about that calling and how that's played out through the years.
I remember the night. It was on January 12th, 1968. I was sitting in my dad's old pickup truck. It was after a basketball game, and I remember the weather conditions and everything, and it wasn't an audible voice. It wasn't a bolt of lightning, but God spoke to my heart and said, I want you to be a high school Christian coach. And I didn't know exactly what that looked like, but as God has been faithful, and everything just unfolded, and it was a calling to be a coach and not something I just wanted to do.
At one point we were asked to go to Black Mountain, North Carolina, to the Fellowship of Christian Athletes Conference. I said, no. And I could think of screen porches and mosquitoes and terrible things, but it wasn't that way at all. And I stayed inside for 2 days. I was scared. It was huge. You stayed for 7 days. And we took one boy with us. That changed the years. But anyway, at one of the meetings, and they were very amazing, the most amazing meetings I've ever been to, but I heard God say, I'm going to try not to cry, that he was calling me to be a coach's wife. And it was to open our home. I was to open our home to athletes, to make cookies, to, in every way I could, make them feel a part of what we were doing, and that we were together in this, and that I think that was the moment I knew that, yes, I was called also to be a coach's wife.
Here again, you fall in love, and you don't, just figure all this is going to fall in place. But all I can say is God was in charge of it all. And I'm just being honest, I don't, as much as we loved you, I think it would have been real hard for our marriage to have made it had it not been for God calling her to be a coach's wife when we went to Black Mountain. And she told me, and I can still remember that, just like I remember the night God called me, that when he called her, it just kind of solidified our marriage. And not that it was always going to be easy, because it wasn't. It wasn't going to be perfect, because it wasn't. But we were perfectly called.
I think our family grew exponentially with boys. There's no telling how many sons I have. 3 daughters and how many sons.
Well, speaking of your marriage, I've heard that you have some unique ways of keeping your marriage strong during the rigors of football season. Tell me a few of those.
It'd be the 50-yard line picnic. So I'd get a quilt and whatever foods that I could get over there, and candles, which freaked out. The first time I really freaked him out. I said, I have candles. Don't you burn up my field.
Work too hard on it.
I said, they're Yankee candles. They're in jars.
They're, right.
I wouldn't. I don't want to hurt your field.
Right.
But anyway, and so there's a candlelight, moonlight picnic, and we would do that, and then we would dance to the song. Our song was the Kenny Rogers Through the Years.
Yes.
I just think we knew each other's feelings. He knew I was hearing some rough stuff in the stands. He didn't hear it. He was safe. But, as far as the other, I'm trying to think, there's some crazy things. One time he was missing, and they found him up in a gutter. The police went after him, but he was just resting before a game, and I knew he was fine.
Had to find a place to get away.
Had to get away, every now and then. But I'm trying to think. There's so many small things that the traditions. Always, I would wait right there. He came up, quick kiss. I'll see you at Victory Field. No matter what, I'll see you at Victory Field. 3 minutes, and they'll go, Mom, it's time to go. Yeah, it's 3 minutes. So all of us would go down and wait for him. We would get on the field. I might only have eyes for him. These boys were not, I'd say before they were taught to be football players, they were taught to be fathers, husbands, all the things that they were going to be in the future. That's his gift, his parenting, one of his many gifts. But I watched it over and over, and so many of the letters and things that come, and we would get a letter, I'd say, this is worth a year's salary, just this one letter, because it was so amazing. And it was, Coach, if I hadn't learned this, my wife and I couldn't have gone through this. And so it's I've watched this. I think he has a gift of parenting.
It hasn't always been easy, but it's been so rewarding and so meaningful, and it's brought us together, as a family.
Susan, great job with that, and I know it was personal for you because you've known the Andersons for a long time.
That's right, it sure was. A really special time to spend with them. I mean, Coach Anderson was my Sunday school teacher in high school, and given the opportunity to sit down with them in their own home and talk about their legacy was just a really neat experience for me.
They've impacted so many lives over the years and continue to do so. That part won't change. May have retired from coaching, but not from the impact they have on others. And you can see the full uncut version of that video coming up later, so keep following on our Facebook page and we'll have more information about it soon.
That's right. Well, pivoting a little bit here, Chris, I understand that you had a really exciting weekend last weekend.
A little bit. It was pretty busy. I wouldn't expect you to hear it, being the Auburn fan that you are, but I did get to really fulfill a dream. It was exciting to have a chance to fill in. I hate it was under the circumstances that it was, but filled in for Eli on play-by-play for the Crimson Tide Sports Network, and turned out to be a full day. We did football that day from the stadium. It was kind of neat calling a game from a stadium you weren't actually at, but we did the game in Tuscaloosa while it was taking place in Arkansas. Grabbed a sandwich, quick nap, and then turned around and did basketball that night for a game that's taking place in Atlanta. So had a lot of fun.
Well, good. Well, even as an Auburn fan, I did hear you, and you did a wonderful job, and I know that's been said all over the internet. So congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it so much. We appreciate you for joining us as well. For Susan, I'm Chris. We'll see you next time right here on High School Sports Weekly, presented by OS1 Sports Injury Clinic.